What's going on, fellow A-Plussers? It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, certainly coming through once again with another episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly update for Marvel, DC television, and movie news right here over on our Facebook page and YouTube page going live for you guys today. So thank you very much for certainly joining us. Hopefully everybody's weekend has certainly gone fantastically well. I know mine certainly is, and I've got fantasy football to certainly look forward to later this afternoon. So it should be a good weekend to certainly say the least. But we got some great topics, guys, that we're going to go ahead and break down for you guys. As always, we got your honorable mention, some things that didn't quite make the cut, but things that we want you to certainly be made aware of. Stuart this week's got some Netflix recommendations for us. So let's go ahead and get our list down to go ahead and put something else onto our wish list. And of course, your guys' live viewer questions that we're going to be getting into today. So while I personally was expecting a full panel today, I know Indy's been hyping us up behind the scenes like, guys, I'm coming. I'm going to be here soon. It seems as though it will, in fact, be next weekend. So we definitely will be looking forward to having the Nerds of the Roundtable fully invested next weekend. But it's not just myself. We at least have a part of the crew here. Another important piece to A-Plus Hero Report. Stuart, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you, man.
I swear we're like George R. R. Martin hyping up the White Walkers. I swear they're coming. The big battle is coming, guys.
I swear Indy will be here one weekend. I swear he will be. He's coming 5 years later, right? Like we're still waiting for Indy to show up. No, he'll be here soon. Yeah, it'll happen soon. He loves the show too much to not be here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. I've been doing pretty good this last week. Actually, currently this weekend we got Fleet Week going on. So if I have to mute myself,
What's it called?
It's called Fleet Week. Basically, it's the Blue Angels when they come into San Francisco to do all their really awesome stunts.
That's cool.
Yeah. So if I like mute myself for like a long period of time for like 30 seconds without saying anything, that is why, because they'll every once in a while be like flying over our houses. So it's like, yeah, they're really loud. Like they literally set off car alarms. In our
damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've personally have not had the opportunity to see the Blue Angels in action, but I definitely see plenty of videos of them for sure. Very impressive stuff, man. I think it would be cool to learn how to learn to fly a jet. Honestly, I think it'd be pretty badass. I gotta get on that Tom Cruise regiment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I have no idea though if I'd be able to if I'd be like one of those people that would pass out though, because you know
all the G's.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love roller coasters as much as the next guy, but I've never like fully tested out like how much I can like fully take. I haven't even done skydiving yet, but it is on my list to do it one of these days.
Do skydiving, man. I had a blast. We went skydiving for my friend Jonathan's bachelor party. It was more like a bachelor journey because we took him to Vegas, and then not only flying into Vegas, but we stayed there like 3 days, and then we drove back from Vegas to Texas. And on the way, we went to Hoover Dam, Grand Canyon, and then our last stop on the trip was skydiving, which was incredible stuff, man. So if you get the opportunity to try it, pull the trigger, man, definitely.
But you guys drive the whole way? Like, so was it like a road trip?
Well, we flew to Vegas and then we made it a road trip coming back from Vegas to Texas. Okay. So yeah, because we definitely wanted to see the sights and just have just elongate that bachelor party as long as we possibly could. It was good times though. We had a good time.
Sounds like a blast.
Yeah, man. But guys, listen, we definitely want to know how your guys' weekend certainly was. I made an official announcement. I know we did make an announcement of me having my first child on here a couple of weeks ago, but I also went ahead and put it up on our Facebook page as well, or at least on my Facebook page. Maybe I should put it on our A-Plus Opinions Facebook page also. So I'll go ahead and put our baby registry up there also. If you guys want to continue to support us in any way, it'll certainly go a long way. So I might go ahead and do that also. But yeah, all the comments and love has been flooding in this weekend. So it's been a really good time, honestly. Let's see here. Who we got in the live chat today? We got Ricky in the house. What's up, Ricky? Thank you very much for certainly coming through. And of course, my mom's in here also. So thanks, Mom. It's always embarrassing, but I absolutely love mentioning when she's here because I love the support, Mom. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. She'll be supporting me until I'm like 60 if I'm still doing podcasts. I'm sure she'll still pop up in here from time to time. But thank you very much, Ricky. I really appreciate it, guys. But Stuart, I know you said you didn't quite have an honorable mention here this week as we tackle some of our topics, but you did say you had some Netflix recommendations. I'm interested, man. Me and the girlfriend love watching Netflix movies and TV series. So what you got for us?
Okay, so this first one is one you really got to be in the right mindset for. And by that, I mean, I was like super stoned when I like literally binged all 2 seasons of this show, but it's called I Think You Should Leave. And it's one of the weirdest comedies I've ever like watched because just the way they take the jokes, like you never really know exactly where they're going with like any of these jokes. And they take it to such weird, random, extreme places that the entire time you're just kind of like you're like Robot Man from Doom Patrol. You're just like, what the fuck all the time. So it's a really bizarre show, and I definitely recommend checking, at least giving it a chance, because I get that the humor may not be for everyone, but it's so bizarre it's worth a shot. The other one is one I'm sure you've heard of, because it's like everywhere on the internet now. Squid Game.
I have heard of it. I've been interested. Me and the girlfriend, it's piqued our interest with all the noise that it's causing.
Yeah, it was not overhyped. I absolutely enjoyed it. It's your battle royale type of storyline, but what's interesting about this is that usually in these type of storylines you have like the organization that kidnaps people and they're like just so good at their job, and it's like to an unrealistic degree, like where there are no issues going on with the way they run like this giant organization. So what I like about this, it's like one of the few times where they really delve into how an organization like that can actually form, and it goes into the fact that running an organization like this actually isn't as easy as like movies make it look. So you actually see issues like going on, like you see flaws within that organization itself, along with of course the characters like trying to survive the thing that's going on. I don't want to say any more than that, but it definitely takes some twists and turns that I definitely wasn't expecting from this type of a show anyways.
Yeah, I was getting like Hunger Game vibes. Is that kind of accurate to a certain extent or no?
Oh yeah, to a certain extent, definitely. But they kind of know that you've seen this trope so many times, and so they really play with it in ways that I didn't expect.
Okay, all right, Squid Game. Yeah, no, it's definitely up there for sure. I think we've got that one that we put on our wish or our playlist. We also want to check out that Midnight Mass series that I think is currently on there. We usually love to check out what's in the top 10 or maybe even what's trending in the US. But I gotta say, man, some of the stuff in top 10 in the US is really hit or miss for me. Sometimes I wonder what the fuck we're watching as a public. Like, you guys think this is good, that this is at like number 5? Like, what is going on with the taste of people in US? But I do like trying to see what's going on right now. So I will put that on my list, man. It's definitely creeping its way up there to must watch for us at this point. So we're looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Appreciate the suggestions, man. A couple of other honorable mentions for you guys as we go ahead before we get into some of our main topics. We talked a little bit last week of the Aquaman animated series that's going to be dropping on HBO Max. We wind up getting ourselves an official a poster, if you will, from HBO Max for it. So this is going to be chapter 1 titled The Dead Sea. This is very much a animated trilogy that Aquaman's going to be tackling, or I should say DC is going to be tackling. So streaming October 14th. So the first part is in fact going to be dropping this week. So if you guys are at least interested to see what this is possibly going to turn out to be, what the sort of theme and atmosphere of this series is going to be, certainly go ahead and check it out. So chapter 1, Dead Sea, streaming October 14th. You know what else is also streaming right now, Stuart? Black Widow on Disney Plus. If you guys have not had the opportunity to see Black Widow yet, if you are a Disney Plus subscriber, it is available for free, no premium access, so you guys can watch it as many times as you want to. Did you know it was up there this week?
I did not. So my dad, I don't think has seen it yet, so I'm definitely going to recommend that to him.
Yeah, it might be something else that I go ahead and put on this week. Next up, guys, even before the DC fandom winds up dropping, we got our very first look at the upcoming Young Justice, was it season 4 now, titled Phantoms. They went ahead and released a brand new poster here, get an opportunity to showcase the team, maybe some new faces, maybe some familiar faces here. They haven't really give too much detail. I know that the showrunner has talked about it and teased it a little bit. You can actually find the article over on our main Facebook page, APlus Opinions, if you guys are interested in reading some more details before DC fandom hits us. But this is our very first look at Young Justice season 4. What do you think of the poster, Stuart?
Looking really awesome, of course.
Yeah, it's looking pretty
definitely
good.
looking forward to Young Justice.
Is that like multiverse concept? Like, are those like Earths behind it or something like that? Like, what are those circles?
I don't know actually.
I don't know what those are.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe I'm just leaping for something here. I know Indy's probably thrilled with this poster because it's got Zatanna on it.
Oh yeah, definitely. my only kind of nitpick really with Young Justice at this point is that, you know, at the end of season 3, or even heck before that, like beginning of season 2, you know, you get so many of them that just kind of move on to the Justice League at this point, and they're all like full grown adults. So I'm just wondering why they're still calling the show Young Justice, and why not just like change it to Justice League.
Yeah, for sure. Like middle-aged Justice or something like that. I mean, they're definitely growing up for sure. Let's see here. Another honorable mention. Not only did we get ourselves an exclusive clip of Peacemaker this week, they're really hyping this up. I didn't realize how close this season is. I believe they're going to be releasing this one in January. Let me just say, streaming this January on HBO Max. You got the James Gunn and John Cena series. So yeah, not only did we get a brand new poster and a banner, but we did get ourselves a new clip also. It looks like a Peacemaker meeting up with his new team inside like a diner or restaurant, coming in his full uniform. But they got a couple of people making fun of him as like his cosplay costume or something like that. But it looks like it's going to be pretty funny. I am interested to see what the series is going to be like. But what do you think, Stuart?
Yeah, I think it looks absolutely fantastic from like the 2 clips that we got. Like one of them from the actual like full length clip of him meeting his team in the diner, and then the other one from the DC Fandom trailer where we got a bunch of different ones, and we see both Peacemaker and Vigilante together. So that so that's going to be pretty cool. Definitely, I think the costume for Vigilante looks pretty decent. You know, I kind of like both this version and the Arrow version. I don't think I really have like a preference.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you too. I forgot that there were some extra clips inside that HBO or that DC Fandom commercial that we wind up getting, which is this upcoming weekend, guys. So go ahead and mark your calendars. It's going to be 2 days. I believe it's the 16th and the 17th, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it's just one day. I believe it's the 16th, which might be that Saturday or so. But yeah, definitely go ahead and check it out. If anything, I'm hoping that we get ourselves at least another trailer for Peacemaker out of that as well. And then, of course, the last honorable mention for you guys. Real quick side honorable mention, Stuart. Did you know that Wentworth Miller is returning for the 100th episode of Legends of Tomorrow as Captain Cold, sir? I gotta tell you, I have no interest in watching the 100th episode, but I think that is badass. I love me some Wentworth Miller. I think he did great as Captain Cold. I think it'll be a really great nostalgic factor for the fans of this series that started, especially from the very beginning.
That is pretty good too, especially since we know that Heatwave is leaving the show. I thought we were gonna see him leave the show at the end of the last season, but he I think is still going to be in like maybe for the first 2 episodes, and then he'll probably take off after the 100th episode. But it's good to know that we're going to have at least one final scene with the 2 of them together.
Yeah, that should be pretty fun, man. I can't wait. He was honestly always one of my favorite characters in all of Arrowverse, just the way that he carried that character. Especially when it came to Legends of Tomorrow. I felt like when he left, maybe I don't want to say some of the fun left with it, because that's all Legends of Tomorrow is right now, but it felt very much like, I don't know, I don't want to say the heart of the team, because he was like a villain, but I don't know, he just added a great amount of charm, I felt like, to the series itself, that I always felt missed a little bit of him when he wind up leaving. Is that just me though?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I'd say that I mean, I had nothing against him on The Flash. I'd say he actually did a really good job on that show. But when he became part of Legends, I wasn't sure how to think of it at first, but I do like what they ended up doing with his arc, like at the very end of it. And I do like how throughout it you kind of see him being the one to really make Heatwave like a better person at the end, since Heatwave was kind of like the insane, like really out. He was the one who was really insane out of the two of them.
Yeah.
And it's really funny, actually. In fact, looking back at like older Flash episodes and comparing them to like Legends of Tomorrow and just seeing how much those two in particular have really changed.
Oh, yeah, most definitely, man. No, I definitely agree with you there for sure. So yeah, guys, if you are interested in checking out Legends of Tomorrow's 100th episode, definitely expect you some Wentworth Miller return. And then last but not least, guys, I thought this would be fun for us to go ahead and highlight. We know that Transformers Rise of the Beast is right around the corner. They are currently filming for that project. We've seen some of these set photos and set videos already. But one of the lead actors this week decided to give us an even closer glimpse at the upcoming Autobots and Decepticons, ladies and gentlemen. As we got ourselves some fresh new pictures and fresh new take, harkening back to clearly, what is it, the 90s here with some of these models. But you get to see some of your favorite Autobots here also looking fantastic. Definitely going back to that G1 style for sure. But I absolutely love what we're seeing here. Autobots, and then of course your Decepticons in this upcoming movie as well. And I'm sure we'll eventually get the opportunity to see the Beasts. I don't know what these forms are even going to look like once they're actually transformed, but I'm really excited for this. I mean, these are looking pretty good, don't you think, Stuart?
Yeah, it'll and I think what's cool is because they're out in an open area, it's definitely going to give them a lot of flexibility when it comes to some of the fight scenes that we're going to get in this movie. So that's going to be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's true. I think that I want to say this is Peru. I could be wrong though in regards to it, but I know most of it was being filmed over in NYC. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did some traveling to go ahead and film elsewhere as well. But yeah, guys, Autobots and Decepticons from Rise of the Beast. Some set photos wind up dropping here this week, and I think they look absolutely great. So looking forward to that movie. And I'm sure Hasbro and Paramount need that movie to certainly be successful, especially after like Snake Eyes didn't do so well. It's another brand for them that they're really putting and investing a lot of time and money into. So I'm hoping, look, we had a great Bumblebee here. I'm hoping that they learn some valuable lessons from that movie and they carry that over here to the next Transformers. Well, what's your hype level for this movie? Are you excited? Are you hesitant about it? What are your feelings for it?
Decently excited with a slight hesitation, just because when it comes to Transformers, I never want to get my hopes too high up. But yeah,
I
I
don't blame you,
did
man.
really enjoy Bumblebee, so if they continue going in that direction, I do think we have a good movie waiting for us around the corner.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. I definitely don't blame you there, but I definitely hope so also. All right, guys. And I think with that out of the way, we will be getting into your main topics for the day. So, Stuart, you ready to go ahead and tackle these with me, man?
I am indeed.
Let's do it, bro. Because we definitely got some heavy hitters here this week to certainly talk with you guys about. Our first story will definitely start off with some DC news for you. As currently the Flash is filming, or if I'm not mistaken, I think it actually wrapped this weekend after 124 days, from what I recall over on Twitter. They went ahead and made some announcements that the filming for The Flash has officially wrapped. And this week, it looks as though Variety got the opportunity to sit down with none other than Ben Affleck himself, who's going to be reprising his role as Bruce Wayne in this movie, also donning the bat suit as well for this film. We got two Batmen that are going to be in the Flash movie, along with even a Supergirl here. So it should be a fun ride when it comes to just exploring the multiverse, to certainly say the least. But one thing that I found rather interesting here, Stuart, this week is the fact that Ben Affleck talks very highly about his involvement in The Flash, how much fun he absolutely has in being back into this universe and donning the suit, which feels vastly different from the time in which we recall him being Batfleck during his time for Batman versus Superman, and even that of the Justice League, right? We know that the stresses and the pressures and the disappointment from his time on Justice League really pushed him sort of out of being Batman for quite some time. Very unhealthy for his lifestyle, to certainly say the least. And so I find it interesting here that Ben Affleck decides to talk so glowingly of The Flash, because it does make me beg the question, Stuart, Is there a possibility of Ben Affleck maybe ever returning to Batfleck one more time after this? Let's at least examine this a little bit, shall we? So let's go ahead and get into this article, Stuart, because I did find this rather interesting. This is in regards to from Variety. Let's see what Ben Affleck certainly has to say. So, Variety.com says Ben Affleck says that he had fun playing Batman in The Flash after Justice League was difficult. This is an exclusive report from Variety.com. It says the upcoming DC Comics film, The Flash, put the fun back into Batman for Ben Affleck after the actor endured Josh Whedon's 2017 film Justice League. Affleck will reprise his role as Bruce Wayne / Batman in the Andy Muschietti directed The Flash. This is what he said. He says, it was a really nice way to revisit that as the prior experience had been difficult, is what Affleck told Variety on Sunday. He says, I had a great time. I'm probably under some gag order that I'm not even aware that I probably just violated, and now I'm going to be sued. Talking about just giving any information about the Flash, but he did gush over Ezra Miller as well, being able to shoot in the UK. He says, I love Ezra, and I had a chance to see Jason Momoa, who's over there making Aquaman and The Last Kingdom, as that film is currently filming also. He says it's a movie about kindness and love and support and goodness, ultimately of people. I think the world is a tough and ugly place, particularly now. So I feel good injecting this movie onto the world. And I feel like, honestly, Stuart, I feel like anybody that's kind of talked about the Flash movie has kind of used those same words and same terminology. The fact that the movie is about kindness, love, support, goodness, even the concept of like humanity. So I am really fascinated by what this script would certainly hold. But this is like the first time in a long time, Stuart, that we've heard Ben Affleck talk about his time as Batman sort of very positively, being in a new environment, under a brand new director here, getting to be back with your familiar friends and stuff. I'm sure it's been quite some time since he's had to put on the Batman outfit and things like that. So the fact that he had such a really great time revisiting this character, being on set, for me, I'm just at least glad that when it comes to Ben Affleck, that he can kind of take away some of the positivity of being Batman in his career. Not to say that everything is doom and gloom from his past time with it, but just based off of how stressing it certainly was for him, I am really glad, just for his mental health and just for his physical health in general, that he feels very much in a good place reprising this particular role and being put sort of in this new environment. And I got to say, man, I think with Ben Affleck being as vocal as he is about having a good time on The Flash, one of the recent commercials, I believe, for DC fandom or promo events saw one of, I believe, I can't remember if it was the WB president or the HBO Max president or whoever, even referring to the Zack Snyder's Justice League as like a global phenomenon, which I feel like WB has, especially ever since its release, hasn't really wanted to fully commit to saying that it was either a huge success or really giving it more shine, right? I mean, they really pushed the idea that it's just a cul-de-sac, it's not something that's going anywhere, but now they're referring to it as a global phenomenon. And you mix that with the idea of Ben Affleck having a much more enjoyable time as Batman. There's a part of me that's kind of hoping that maybe they take this as an opportunity to try and continue to allow Ben Affleck to have a good time and maybe put him in a much better position as Batman going forward and maybe revisit him. That's something that I personally would like to see. I feel like the positivity that Ben Affleck is at least exuding, and if things do go well, especially with that particular movie, maybe there's a chance that we get to see Ben Affleck certainly return to Batman in a particular another role or another upcoming movie. They have mentioned the idea that this upcoming Flash movie is a sort of way to maybe set up a Justice League sequel, perhaps also. So I feel like there might be some rumblings, and I feel like if we can connect the pieces here, maybe there's a chance Ben Affleck would be open to returning in a bigger role as Batman somewhere down in the future. But maybe that's just me being extremely optimistic at this point from just what he's saying in this particular Variety article. But again, for me, I'm just glad that he's enjoying himself. It's been a very big departure from his experience as Batman in the past. So if he's having this much of a good time, I think WB should be paying attention to that and try and continue to make it a good time for Ben Affleck and his partnership with WB. So we'll see what happens, but I'm really eager to see his involvement in this movie. I think it's going to be something incredible to see. I don't know how much he's actually in this movie, if he's a big influential part, probably in the beginning in regards to maybe motivating Barry Allen for some of his actions or whatever the case may be. But I'm looking forward to seeing him in this movie. But Stuart, you hear some of the things that he's talking about, his love for being back, his thoughts on the script. Glad to see some of the people that he worked with in the past once again. What do you take from this when it comes to what Ben Affleck had to say?
Yeah, no, I think now that he's no longer worried about like not only the Justice League movies, but also, you know, doing his own solo trilogy that he was originally going to write and direct on top of that. I think like with that stress being gone and now he's just there to go in, do his job, and then, you know, there's no big commitment. I think that's one of the things that really helps ease the stress off of him. So it's one of those things where if they were to bring him back as Batman, I'm open for it. I just think they should be smarter about how they do it. And they, you know, now they would know from last time not to like fully overwork him the same way they did before, and you know, use him more sparingly, I guess you could say, which I think would work really well if they wanted to just use him for the Justice League movies. And I say that because like Warner Brothers seems extremely committed to Robert Pattinson at this point, which is totally fine. Mm-hmm. But with him existing on a different universe than the rest of the DC movies, I do think we can still keep Ben Affleck if he's willing to, and if Warner Brothers, you know, is still interested in making Justice League sequels.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Because I definitely will say, like you mentioned, the Robert Pattinson Batman for them, I think, is definitely going to be the new Batman. You know, somebody younger, a brand new trilogy that's going to be pushed out by Matt Reeves. So I definitely do think the Batman is definitely going to be their focus going forward. But very much like you mentioned, Stuart, I think the idea of using him sparingly will really go a long way, whether that's an HBO Max limited series of like 8 or 9 episodes. Even if you don't want to go that route, just bringing him back, like you said, for Justice League movies only, I think would go a long way also, just to have that star power. Somebody as big as Batman still at least attached to the Justice League, but maybe push some of your other DC movies to focus on other characters and things like that. So you're not necessarily forcing Ben Affleck to sort of be in like every single film that's out there. You know what I mean? Like I would, even though there is a part of me that personally would love to see a solo Batman film with Ben Affleck. I mean, especially after the script that wind up coming out, knowing that we were going to be getting maybe a Deathstroke fight between those two. Also, that's definitely something I would certainly love to see. That's why I was mentioning maybe even like a limited series. But even if that's not the case, I think the idea of just bringing him back for one movie, maybe a cameo from time to time, something that he can really enjoy himself on and not feel like he's got to carry an entire universe on his back to make it successful, I think would really go a long way. So I'm hoping I'm hoping WB keeps that in the back of their head for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
But yeah, guys, listen, at the end of the day, we definitely want to know your thoughts. You hear this about what Ben Affleck's talking about his return to The Flash, having a fantastic time based off of his past experience with Justice League. But now that he's sort of back in that Bat costume with him having a good time, would you like to see Ben Affleck perhaps reprise his role in other content and other properties? Go ahead and certainly let me know your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. But yeah, I definitely agree with you, Stuart. I think Robert Pattinson certainly is the future in regards to their main headlining Batman. And we get ourselves a trailer next week, man. I'm super pumped for this. I'm super pumped for this trailer. I'm looking forward to it. But all right, guys. And with that out of the way, we are going to go ahead ahead and change direction here and start jumping into some Marvel news for you guys, as we've got about maybe 3 Marvel topics that we're going to be breaking down today. And this one actually came as a big surprise to me, Stuart. I was not expecting this information to drop at all. But when it comes to WandaVision, which was quite a successful show over at Disney Plus, it really did go ahead and lay the groundwork for what we're going to be potentially getting in Doctor Strange 2, getting the opportunity to really see characters like Wanda along with Vision really evolved and pushed forward in regards to their storytelling here, focusing not only on the grief of Wanda herself, but also how she certainly handles it, seeing her abilities continue to grow, and a lot of questions still certainly needing to be answered. So while we definitely know that WandaVision's story will continue in Doctor Strange 2, there is yet more story from that particular series to be told, and that is in regards to the character played by Kathryn Hahn in Agatha, Stewart, as apparently Agatha is going to be getting her own solo series at Disney Plus. What is going on here, man? Spinoffs out the wazoo are happening. Let's go ahead and dive into this together, Stewart, and see what exactly is going on here. So this actually comes to us from Deadline. Deadline is in fact reporting that Kathryn Hahn is set to headline a WandaVision spinoff, which is currently at works at Disney Plus as part of a Marvel deal. It says Marvel Studios is developing a spinoff of Emmy-winning WandaVision for Disney Plus's source confirmed to Deadline. The potential spinoff would center on Kathryn Hahn's Agatha Harkness character, which Hahn is set to reprise across the MCU on streaming and in movies under a larger deal she has made with the studio. It says WandaVision is a genre-bending series created by Disney Plus. It centers on Wanda and Vision, two superpowered beings living their ideal suburban lives in the town of Westview, New Jersey, who begins to suspect that everything is not as it seems. Hahn's Agatha Harkness, a witch from Salem, was a fan favorite breakout character, earning the actress her second career Emmy nomination to date. So yeah, I will definitely admit, when it comes to Kathryn Hahn's performance as Agatha, I certainly did appreciate her. Really enjoyed what she brought to the table. No surprise to me that she actually was nominated as a nominated at the Emmys also. So I am kind of curious what your thoughts are on this, Stuart. I personally am not sure how to feel about it, or where my thoughts are at as of right now. So let me throw this to you. What are your thoughts in regards to Kathryn Hahn possibly getting a lead role in her own WandaVision spinoff series?
So as of now, and I'm going to say this, Marvel's really good at definitely proving me wrong in this type of in this type of way. But as of now, it's really hard for me to see her carrying her own TV series, because to me, she feels like such a good supporting character, but she doesn't feel like a character that's really meant to have her own like series focused just on her. So, as of now, I'm not like hyped for it. But of course, when it comes to Marvel again, they've always kind of proven me wrong whenever they like take a concept that I don't think isn't going to work really well, and then they show how it can work really well. So yeah, it could be the same thing for here. So I'll definitely go into the show with an open mind.
Just for some extra context here, outside of the Deadline report that we wind up having, let me see if we got any extra details in this Variety one, because sometimes each source definitely gives more details. It looks like this was actually exclusive from Variety, who might have reported it first, but it says Hahn would reprise the role of Agatha Harkness in the series, which is described by sources as a dark comedy. Though exact plot details remain under wraps. The head writer for WandaVision, Jack Schaefer, would serve as the writer and executive producer on the project. So that's a good start. At least those connected to WandaVision would be the ones working on this. Should this spinoff go forward, it would be the first project Schaefer has set up with Marvel since she signed her overall deal. So yeah, it looks like they are going in the route of a dark comedy. That sounds interesting to me. I mean, considering what we just saw with them in regards to how they're tackling a series like WandaVision. It definitely was unlike anything that we personally had ever seen. So the fact that they are going to go from very sitcom-y to maybe a potential dark comedy, I definitely do think that that works in regards to the direction that for a WandaVision spinoff, especially if you're bringing back the head writer or the showrunner from the WandaVision series itself. I am very much like you, Stuart, in this sense that while I enjoyed Kathryn Hahn in WandaVision, I thought she did absolutely great. The idea of a Agatha Harkness spinoff for me, I'm still hesitant on. Like, I definitely want to know further details. Why do we feel that we need this spinoff to begin with, right? Like, where is the aspect of her story that once told is really going to push the envelope for the MCU and push that story forward? I'm all about definitely seeing Kathryn Hahn reprise her role in other projects also when it comes to Marvel, whether she pop up in a movie in the future or another series. But the idea of giving her her own series, I guess personally right now I'm not seeing the full value in it. But I guess once we actually get further details, maybe see some other potential casting that they probably have in store for her, then maybe I'll be a little bit more excited to it for this. I'm always going to be open-minded when it comes to anything that Marvel wants to put in front of me, just because they've certainly earned that trust from me. So I'm not going to completely crap on this project and be like, no, I'm not going to watch it. If it looks compelling, if it looks compelling, if it sounds compelling, nothing wrong with a good little dark comedy series, to certainly say the least. We've seen how Marvel has tackled unique series before and they've knocked it out of the park. So I would be open to it, but I got to say my excitement level right now, like, this is just not a character that I would be like, yeah, you know what? I've been waiting for an Agatha Harkness series. I'm probably not at that point as of yet. I don't know if I ever will be, but if they think there's something there, maybe there is. I'll give it a chance. But as of right now, not. I really, this is probably not something that's on my radar as of right now. But yeah, like Nathan Moore does say, listen, congratulations for Kathryn Hahn. He says, I became a big fan of Agatha Harkness after watching her in WandaVision. I just hope Marvel leans into the magic with Agatha, which I'm sure that she probably will, right? I mean, we saw Agatha Harkness's really terrible past back in Salem. Her mom, or whoever the case was, sacrificing her, if you will, during that time. So there's clearly a lot of journey that Agatha has come from that particular moment up until what we saw in WandaVision. So I'm sure there probably is a story to tell there. I personally am just not seeing it. So once Marvel maybe gives me further plot details, a synopsis, casting, maybe then I'll eventually will be fully on board with this. But as of right now, this is just sort of a wait and see, if that makes any sense, right, Stuart?
Yeah, I would agree with that. That said, though, I really do hope if we get more backstory with her, it'd be kind of interesting to find out like her life after Salem, like if she decided to stay hidden just because the world doesn't accept people with magic abilities, of course. Because yeah, you look at the Salem witch trials, like back then, for example, that's with people that weren't actually like witches. So just imagine like how people would react to someone who actually does have like supernatural powers. So it'd be interesting to like kind of get a little bit more of her backstory and explore like that whole different side of the Marvel universe.
Yeah, no, that definitely would be. I am hoping that I would assume magic is heavily involved, because it does feel like Agatha's been through some shit. At least where her mindset is in regards to how she's talking to Wanda and things like that. Like, I do want to know what other trials and tribulations Agatha probably went through. It wouldn't surprise me if we do get other MCU characters that pop up in here, right? People have been asking for a Mephisto for like the longest time. Maybe this is where we eventually get him for all we know. So yeah, I mean, is there potential for something there? Absolutely. Right now, as far as my level of excitement, this probably isn't a character that I really care to have seen a Marvel Plus series. But if Marvel wants to pull the trigger, I'll listen and certainly see what they have in store for us. But there is potential there. There definitely is potential there. But we want to know your thoughts, guys. Again, we both love Kathryn Hahn. We thought she brought a great element to the WandaVision series. And if she can pull that same magic off with the head writer or the showrunner from WandaVision to create this, maybe Marvel's got another hit on their hands. We'll definitely have to wait and see till then. But guys, we want to know your thoughts. Kathryn Hahn is potentially getting her own Marvel series. Are you pumped for it? Are you looking forward to it? Do you need more information? Go ahead and give me your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. All right, Stuart. And with that, we will move on to our next Marvel topic. As we dive into some Don Cheadle news, who surprisingly got nominated for like supporting character when it comes to Falcon and the Winter Soldier at the Emmys for like his 2 sentences that he had all series long, which boggles my mind. But Don Cheadle's not always going to have 2 sentences, ladies and gentlemen. Don Cheadle will have an entire show for him to be focused on, as War Machine, aka, or I should say Rhodey, aka War Machine, is getting his own Disney Plus series in Armor Wars. And while we haven't heard too much about it since it was certainly announced, this week we're getting some further insight from Don Cheadle himself, Mr. Rhodey, speaking out about his upcoming series and teasing as to what we can certainly look forward to. So anytime we get the opportunity to get more information on one of those Disney Plus series that's quite a ways away, I always think it's fascinating to go ahead and dive into it, just to kind of maybe build that hype level for a series that we really don't know too much about. So let's hear exactly what Don Cheadle had to say in regards to his upcoming series in Armor Wars here, guys. Let me go ahead and pull this up. This article is from superherohype.com. Again, superherohype.com. It says Don Cheadle teases Rhodey's arc on Marvel's Armor Wars series. It says, oh, you know what? Maybe I should actually go to the actual source itself. CBR. Let me go ahead and pull, let me stop sharing this one. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the actual article itself. I like to go to the sources directly when it comes to these, just so that we're not misconstruing anybody else's words. I want to see exactly what they wind up saying. Here we go. So Armor Wars will explore War Machine's past and future. He says that Don Cheadle says the upcoming series will jump off from the events of Avengers Endgame and explore Rhodey's history. He says, well, I think that's the most exciting. I think that the most exciting part is yet to come. I think we don't really have a strong idea of who he is really outside of that sort of bubble of Avengers. Out of necessity, his friendship with Tony, and now he's going to be kind of be untethered from all of that. So it's an opportunity to really discover who he is in a way that we have not had before, with concentrated time and focus on Rhodey and Rhodey's journey, and with hopefully some stuff about his past and teeing up some things about his potential future. Who knows how long this Marvel thing goes? It seems kind of unending. We might all die on set one day, is what he jokes about also. But he does say, he says, what's most exciting is yet to come. And I think those kind of things were hinted at in Endgame, where this character might go, the things that may be in the offering for him. It's very early in the process of Armor Wars. We just hired my boy Yasir Lester, which I'm very excited about. He wrote Black Monday. I've been really good friends with him and close with him. Great guy. A lot of good ideas, or a lot of great ideas. But honestly, we're just really trying to crack the spine of what's going to be and chop it up. I couldn't really give you the answer if you asked me them, because we're super in the clay mode right now. So it definitely sounds as though when it comes to Don Cheadle, the forming of Armor Wars is certainly there. It sounds very much like he's working pretty closely with the writer of this particular series to go ahead and flesh out the full details when it comes to Armor Wars. So while he certainly can't give us the full details, I think he gives us some pretty interesting information here, Stuart. You know, one of the things that I really love about this idea for Don Cheadle is, one, I did like his cameo in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think him at least asking that one question to Sam about why he didn't don the shield and costume for himself, I definitely do think is what really launched us into that series as part of the main theme, if you will. But similar to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I think it's something that he's saying here also, is that Armor Wars, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is really going to give us an insight into some of these characters and who they are outside of the Avengers. I think what I loved about Falcon and the Winter Soldier was seeing those characters on a more personal level, right? Getting to see Bucky having to deal with maybe his own PTSD, going to counseling, how he's handling his own sort of, maybe, I don't want to say jealousy, but issues of maybe not getting the shield for himself. Same thing when it comes to Sam, right? Getting to meet his family, his sister, his nephews, and things like that. Getting to see some of the personal struggles that he's dealing with. All of those are great aspects about the Falcon and Winter Soldier that I truly love, that I think for me push those characters into being their own heroes at the end of the day. And because of the fact that when it comes to Rhodey, he's always been attached to Tony Stark in some way or another, always been a part of the Avengers, has always sort of been looked at as that sidekick. Now that he's kind of getting his own show, and now that we don't have Tony Stark necessarily in the way to kind of take that shine away from Rhodey, not that he was there to take the shine away, but I'm just saying this now at least gives him a spotlight. And I think just for the Rhodey character alone, I think this will really do wonders for him in regards to letting us know more about Rhodey's personal life. As a viewer, getting a little bit more attached to him. What are the struggles? What are the things that he's great at outside of being War Machine and being a part of the Avengers team in here? So I got to agree. I think for me, it's going to be really exciting just to learn more about Rhodey, his past and his future, and really see what his personal life is like outside of just the armors and things like that. So I'm here for it, man. I think they did a great job with that in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I think they're going to do the same thing here when it comes to Armor Wars. But you hear this from Don Cheadle, Stuart, the fact that we are going to start learning about him a little bit more. And as far as where the development of this series is, the idea that they're still molding it and shaping it to what they certainly want to be. But you hear what he has to say. What are your thoughts in regards to this, Stuart?
Super hyped, especially like finding out that we're going to learn a little bit more about his past, because I think that's actually something really interesting that we haven't really explored too much. Because yeah, the big thing is and I say this because he's been in so much more than her, but like unlike Agatha, I feel like we've seen so much from War Machine that I do feel like it is there's a lot that you can explore when it comes to giving him his own spin-off show, and knowing that we're going to be exploring his past, and then along with what's going to be going on after the events of Endgame. I think there's definitely like a lot of potential for story there. And I think also just, with him being part of the military too, I'm really curious if this is going to be another one of those kind of Rick Flag type arcs where he's given an order and it's something that just makes him really question who he's working for and that kind of a thing. The big direction I could see this show taking is the idea that maybe he has to make a choice who he stands with, whether it be the Avengers or it be with the U.S. military. I just think in that aspect, there's just so much they can do with it, especially with him being given this, really huge piece of tech that he wears, with the War Machine outfit. And it all kind of depends on, even though he's a good person in the outfit, like who's telling him what to do with that outfit. I feel like that's like just all those things that you could explore with his character. And I also look forward to just kind of getting to know him more on a personal basis. Cause like a lot of times, again, when you do see him on screen, it's always like kind of, straight to business with him. There's very rare moments that you ever see him and Tony Stark, for example, ever just having a conversation that doesn't move the plot forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like, for some reason, when you mentioned that, my mind went straight to Avengers: Age of Ultron. You say he gets down to business, but I was just thinking of like,
oh, that is true, yeah,
trying to see the social side of Rhodey when he's with the Avengers and he's trying to tell everybody his joke
moments.
Yeah, he's trying to tell everybody that joke that doesn't land with the Avengers but lands with all the normal people, which I thought was hilarious. So yeah, while we haven't, we don't get to see that type of side from Rhodey very much very much at all. So the fact that this might be that opportunity to kind of see, I'm really fascinated. But I love what you brought up too, Stuart, the idea of like, especially after Endgame, like what happens to Rhodey along with his tech? Is he still involved in the military? Are we going to see General Ross back? Is he going to pop up? Is Pepper Potts going to be in this series also to some capacity? Because with Tony Stark now gone, the only other person that really has worn the armor really is Rhodey, right? So I do wonder like what other type of responsibilities might land on him. Are they going to try and pressure him to work more for the government? Is Pepper going to try and push him more into a role in Stark Industries or something, right? Like I would be interested to see what his role becomes and grows into with Tony Stark no longer being there. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of emotional moments too, maybe him even grieving over the loss of one of his best friends and stuff. So there's a lot of personal aspects of Rhodey that can truly grow in this episode, and a lot of pushback and struggles that he can certainly have to overcome in this. And when you're dealing with like every other Spider-Man movie where you got some former villain of or somebody that's mad at Tony Stark, maybe trying to steal his armor this time, or Tony's tech getting into villains' hands, should be interesting to see how Rhodey winds up handling that. But I definitely think there's a lot of potential in this. I was not sure what to expect when it comes to Armor Wars, but just hearing Don Cheadle give us a little bit of tease has kind of opened up the doors for potential of what this series could be.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this though, if they go the route of another villain that just hates Tony Stark and he's taking it out on and he's just taking it out on War Machine, I'm gonna be okay with that. But they at least got to make a joke about how that happens way too many times now.
Yeah, like what did Tony do to all these people? My God, like something, right? Like he's got to say something about Tony's leadership at that point. If all these butthurt employees are mad at you, man, trying to take you down. So yeah, should be interesting to certainly say the least. Nathan did say, let's be honest, he was underused in the MCU. Just saying, yeah, but I do feel that way about a lot of people though, and I think like Bucky maybe underused. Same thing with Wanda and Vision also. Maybe not Bucky so much because he did get a lot of shine in Winter Soldier, Civil War, and things like that. But yeah, even like Wanda and Vision, I always felt that they were a little bit underutilized. So, and maybe that's the glory, I guess, of having these MCU Disney Plus series, right? Is those characters that were sort of behind the scenes or in the backdrop now truly getting their shine. And for me, what Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision certainly did was, not to say that I didn't view them before as true Avengers, but like now it's made me fully invested with them, of seeing like, okay, now they're considered the heavy hitters. They're the top tier Avengers at this particular point in time that are really going to be carrying things. And so I really love the spotlight that these series have brought on a lot of these characters.
Yeah, I would agree. I would actually say that, one movie I think he was definitely underused in was, the one we were talking about with Avengers Age of Ultron. Even though we had that one scene with him, to me, there was just no reason for both him and Falcon. There was no reason that they couldn't have been full-time Avengers in Age of Ultron because, we've gotten them fully established as superheroes by then.
True.
To me, it always kind of bugged me that in Age of Ultron, you only see them as Avengers at the very end of the movie, after the action is already done.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Because I mean, damn, we even got him in Iron Man 2 helping out Iron Man. Like, if that doesn't put you on the Avengers team, like, damn, I don't know what does, man. So you're right. I didn't even think about that. I was thinking to myself, yeah, I mean, I know he popped up in Age of Ultron, but he wasn't there for the final battle, was he?
He showed up during the final battle at the very end, at like the tail end of it. But he wasn't. To me, what really makes you an Avenger in the movies is if you're part of the big like one shots that they do, where they show like the whole team together.
I get you.
Yeah, they didn't show him as part of that. Same with Falcon. So it's just like one of those things where I wouldn't really fully consider them like part of the team in that movie. And I do wish they kind of changed. I wish that was like one big change that they made to Age of Ultron.
I mean, it's Joss Whedon,
now
that we see how Joss Whedon. So that might explain some things.
Especially everything we've heard later.
Yeah, especially after everything happens later. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, we want to know your levels of excitement in regards to this Don Cheadle starring role in Armor Wars. Are you guys looking forward to it? Are you thrilled that he's finally going to go ahead and get himself some shine? Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. All right, Stuart. And with that, Christopher, what's up, Christopher? He says 666 subscribers. Oh my, no joke, man, no joke. Yeah, can somebody look? If you're not subscribed, can you just hit that subscribe button, please? It would really go a long way with easing some of my anxiety with where we're at when it comes to the subscriber count right now.
The devil is gonna hack our YouTube channel.
Gosh, I know. If our channel just drops out of nowhere and you can't find us anymore, you know exactly what happened, guys. All right, Stuart, let's go ahead and get into this next topic, our final MCU topic. We do have 3 topics in general, guys, so certainly feel free to stick around for all of them. But our last MCU topic that we're going to be getting into is about an upcoming film of theirs, Ant-Man 3, or I should say Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania, as it's officially titled, as of Evangeline Lilly, one of my favorites from Lost. Absolutely love that series, guys. Is speaking out a little bit in regards to the script that she has in regards to Ant-Man 3. Now, listen, it's no surprise around here. I'm a big lover of the first Ant-Man, but unfortunately for me, the sequel was a snooze fest. I necessarily wasn't the biggest fan of that particular movie, but listen, if you enjoyed it, if you had a great time, that's all that matters with that particular film. But for me, coming into Ant-Man 3, I gotta say, I wasn't necessarily super thrilled about possibly coming back for a trilogy after Ant-Man and the Wasp, but with the addition of knowing that Jonathan Majors, Kang the Conqueror, is going to be making a pop-up appearance in there. We got the returning cast, Paul Rudd, Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Douglas. I mean, it should be a quality film, to certainly say the least, one that I'm certainly looking forward to. And so much and so that apparently I'm not the only one that's looking forward to it, Stuart, because Evangeline Lilly has got nothing but praise when it comes to this upcoming film. And I thought it was interesting how big her excitement level was after reading the script. So let's see exactly what she's teasing and what about this movie is really hyping her up, Stuart. So let's go ahead and dive into this together, man. This article and interview comes to us from Collider.com. It says Evangeline Lilly praises the Ant-Man 3 script and explains why she loved WandaVision and Low-Key. So I'm going to go to the actual interview here and we'll jump around. It does give some brief highlights, but I think maybe even the brief highlights maybe take away just a little bit of things. But they do ask her, what was your reaction after reading the script? And she says, I would be happy to explain that. I'm so stoked on the script. Jeff Loveness, who actually is a writer for Ricky and Morty, is our new writer for the film. And we've never worked with him before. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's one of the best writers we've ever had. I think he's got an incredible mastery of voice. So on the page, I can hear all the characters, and I knew that he'd really kind of harness each other's unique personality. I just think that it's going to be really special. I think it's going to be really good. I actually think it has a chance to be the best one we've done yet. I love to hear those words from Evangeline Lilly. I truly do. Go ahead. What you got? What you got?
One thing I got to say about this, actually, something that just popped in my head now is the idea of realizing we got a Rick and Morty writer working on this movie. And what's really good about Rick and Morty and Marvel is something they have in common is that they both write with the intention of knowing that the actors are going to be improvising a lot of the lines. That's how Rick and Morty's always been written, with the idea that, you know, the voice actors for Rick and Morty will be like improving a lot of it. And knowing the MCU actors, they tend to do that a lot on their own anyways, especially Paul Rudd. Not just when he was working with Marvel, but even when he did like a lot of comedies, he tends to ad-lib a good chunk of his lines. So I'm actually kind of wondering, you know, I'm hoping anyways that Ant-Man 3 was kind of written with that same thing in mind for him. Like the idea that, hey, I'll write these lines for him here, but if he wants to go on his own tangent, as long as it leads to this general direction of where the story needs to go, it should work. It should work as well. I'm hoping that's the direction they go with the script.
I definitely hope so too, because like you mentioned with Paul Rudd, I think he's a master at that also. And I think even Damn it, what was his name? The writer from Loki, Michael Waldron. He's also a Rick and Morty writer, also. And I mean, when you've got Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson, I mean, yeah, the talent. I'm sure they probably improvise some of their stuff also. So yeah, maybe there's some connective tissues there. But you're right. I think Paul Rudd is perfect for this particular role with that script that we might be getting. So let's see what else she winds up saying. They do talk about the idea that if she keeps up with other um shows, and she says she doesn't necessarily watch everything. She says it's a bit of both, and a bit of neither. I've not seen all of it. I do try. I see it as almost like homework. I need to know what's going on in the world. I need to understand where there's references made in scripts. I need to know what's going on. I'm also a fan of Marvel, as I'm a fan of filmmakers that are creating this incredible universe. I think they're the best superhero movie makers I've ever witnessed, and I know that I'm not alone in that. So that's not a revolutionary thing to say, except that I don't actually like superhero movies. So coming from me, that's pretty different. I think they're really smart. I think they're really, really, really good at what they do. And that's why I wanted to get involved with this franchise. She says, I never had any desire to be in a superhero movie, but Marvel do it right. They do it really well. So I'm a fan. I think WandaVision was phenomenal. And I think it was probably the best they've ever represented a female character. It was so incredible to see her be so complicated and so flawed and yet so redeemable and so lovable, the way we have typically historically treated our male characters. I think it was an epic female protagonist story. I loved the ending of the Loki TV show also. She says they didn't fully have me until the end, but I was like, oh my God, this is an amazing show, until they got to the end. And I was like, it's chaos theory. I love it. I love it. She says, the science geek in me loves that element of how smart they are and how they tackle such enormous topics that most kind of fluff popcorn movies are not going to tackle. They tackled chaos theory. That's really brave and bold and really cool. So yeah, I don't watch them all. I still haven't seen my What If episode, which I'm dying to see because I had so much fun in making it, but I will. I'll catch up on it eventually, as she talks about. So yeah, and then she also mentions the idea of Jonathan Majors in there also, how she absolutely loved him in Loki. She says it's so good, the fact that we can explore two sides to chaos theory. It's two sides of the same person. It's so good because I don't know about you, but I have those people in me. I mean, I have that constant battle inside of me, especially right now with the way that the world is today, of like, how much do we control? How much do we need freedom? And where is that balance? What does that look like? And what's important, safety or freedom? And that's what they're tackling in the show. The fact that they're tackling it in 2021 post, mid-pandemic, it's really brave and bold, and I kind of dig it. So first and foremost, man, I love the fact that she's a science geek in all of this. When she's talking about the idea of chaos theory and what we've gotten when it comes to Jonathan Majors, because that was such a big part for me to really enjoy when it comes to the Loki stuff. So the fact that she's really embracing sort of these concepts that Marvel is certainly tackling, it's always one of those things that you want your cast to be excited about a project that they're working on. And the fact that she not only is pumped about the science aspect and the chaos theory and all the nerd babble that's going to be going on in this movie, along with just her praise for the script alone, I think she's in a really great mind space to go ahead and just bring out possibly the best hope that we've seen in the MCU as of right now. So her enthusiasm for this is almost infectious. So I'm really pumped to kind of see what she winds up bringing here. But you hear all this from Evangeline Lilly, her praise for the script, how she's been enjoying some of the MCU shows, how she feels about Marvel tackling chaos theory and handling some of these characters. What do you think in regards to what she had to say?
Always love it when actors during interviews kind of reveal something about themselves that you just like, nothing bad, of course, in this case, but just something that you never like really would have thought like an actor would be interested in. So her being interested in chaos theory, that actually is pretty interesting to me, honestly. And I do like I do like how honest she is about it too, because a lot of actors, whether or not they're told that whether or not it's because like behind the scenes they're told that they have to, praise these shows or not. A lot of, actors tend to say like they tend to be very generic about how they address other movies that, are within their franchise. Like Marvel's probably the easiest example to use. Like, I think it's safe to say like a majority of the actors within the MCU probably actually don't keep up with the MCU. So and what's interesting is they'll kind of be very vague about how much they do it. So it's interesting to hear it from her, how she's like, oh yeah, no, I don't watch all of them, but I have seen WandaVision. I have seen Loki. I'm just not the biggest fan of superhero movies, but I do love what Marvel's doing. It's really cool because she comes off as super honest and genuine that way. So yeah, I think it's just like really cool, like how much about herself like she kind of opened up about in that interview. And it is interesting, the two shows that she mentioned that she really liked being Loki and WandaVision, because it definitely fits in with her saying she's not the biggest fan of superhero movies, because those definitely feel like the least superhero like out of all the MCU shows that we've gotten so far. So yeah, I think it's like an interesting interview, and it also intrigues me because if these are the type of shows that she's into, and then she also follows it up by praising the script for Ant-Man 3, it also makes me kind of think that this might be a lot different than the other two Ant-Man movies. In regards to the way, like, maybe it's not going to feel quite as much like a superhero movie compared to the other two. Also, I think she unintentionally gave us a big spoiler, not like a big one. Like, I'm sure we all kind of knew this was going to happen regardless, but she does confirm that the version of Kang that we're getting is definitely not the version that we saw in Loki.
Yes.
So I think that was actually kind of interesting in the interview.
Yes, this definitely feels like maybe whether it's going to be Kang the Conqueror himself in the form that we know him in, or another variant of him, still certainly yet to be determined. But you're absolutely right, and I do think you bringing that up, Stuart, has made me think. Like, I do wonder how much overall this movie is going to be connected to WandaVision and Loki. Like, I wonder if the reason why, because I think even in the article she mentioned she hasn't had the opportunity to check out Falcon and a Winter Soldier yet. I do wonder if maybe even WandaVision and Loki were like homework for her, in the sense of how we've seen how the bigger picture of some of the events of WandaVision and Loki really are going to be affecting the MCU going forward. I wonder if her watching those shows in general was maybe a little bit of her being a fangirl of some of that stuff, but also maybe some homework. Maybe some of the events that happen in there will certainly trickle into Ant-Man and the Wasp 3. So she has to be kind of privy to it. And the fact that maybe what's happening in those shows might be affecting her movie in a way, her being the big science geek that she certainly is. This definitely makes me feel like I can definitely see why she would certainly be pumped to tackle this. But you're right, with the new writer on board, I'm really highly expecting this movie to feel significantly different. Even though we do have Peyton Reed, I believe, who directed the first two films. I'm really thrilled that they decided to go ahead and get another writer for this, because I did need the writing to take a step up after the snooze fest for me that was Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I definitely want to see them inject some life and some fun into this movie for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like it's funny because like I personally thought Ant-Man and the Wasp was an okay movie, but I definitely see where you're coming from. It to me really felt like a phase 2 Marvel movie. Like, they played it way too safe, I think, was kind of the biggest issue. And then also just kind of, to me, it was really bizarre the way they kind of like treated Lawrence Fishburne and Ghost as if they were like the two like villains of it, but then there really wasn't anything villainous about what they were doing at all in the entire movie, which is why like you had to have the really boring generic like kind of gangsters going after the main characters as well, which just, I don't know, it didn't work as well as it could have, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's what it definitely felt a little bit underwhelming. Like, I know that Ant-Man is a small character, but it did feel like they were making a small story, a very small movie for him. And I guess I guess also maybe they probably were maybe put in between a rock and a hard place, because they still also had to tie their movie into, what was it, Infinity War, right? The aftermath of Infinity War and stuff too. So maybe that's what this made them decide to go ahead and play it safe. Like the idea of, hey, we can't introduce too much, because at the end of the movie, we got to kind of put this at the end, to continue their story. So I'm wondering if that had anything to certainly do with it. But listen, we've seen one Rick and Morty writer and Michael Waldron honestly knock it out of the park. I personally thought with the Loki series, he's also writing Doctor Strange too. If they feel like Rick and Morty writers are bringing a really unique element to the storytelling for their shows, I'm all on board with seeing what Jeff Loveness can certainly do with Ant-Man and the Wasp 3. I think this is probably the most excited for this movie that I've been since the announcement of Jonathan Majors being brought on board. So I'm really looking forward to it. And for me, I love Evangeline Lilly, so I'm super glad that she's pumped to go ahead and make this movie also.
Yeah, definitely agree.
All right, guys, but listen, we want to know your thoughts. What did you guys think about Evangeline Lilly's praise of the script and some of her thoughts on some of the other MCU projects that are currently out there? Go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. All right, Stuart, with that, that will wrap up all of our Marvel stories here this week. But we do got two other stories for you guys, one in the realm of TV and one in the realm of movies. And this one, Stuart, I'm really eager to go ahead and pick your brain and get your thoughts of, because I was always a really big fan of that 70s show. I felt like I watched it pretty often when it certainly was on TV, whenever it's on. That 70s show, I always felt like was a show that would never truly disappoint. Like, you can put on any episode, whether you're paying attention to it or not, and it'll be absolutely hilarious and make you certainly laugh. It's a show that I definitely missed once it went off the air. But ladies and gentlemen, that 70s show could potentially be returning in its own spin-off series, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like, Stuart, I can't remember if we've had an attempt at a spin-off series before when it comes to that 70s show.
We don't talk about that 80s show.
Oh, is
that show never happened?
Okay. I was like, I thought we did get something very similar to that in the past. So clearly that didn't go over too well, but they are attempting it again, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. That 70s show spinoff has been announced as that 90s show, Stuart. Let's go ahead and get into this and see if this is going to get you hyped or worried, shall we? Now, while I personally don't know too much about the previous spinoff that they certainly tried, let's see if this is any different. So it says, this is from Variety.com, that 70s show spinoff, that 90s show, has been ordered at Netflix. It looks as though we've got Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp to return, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. They both played the parents Red and Kitty Foreman in the original series and are set to return in that 90s show. Netflix has ordered 10 episodes of this show, which will be a multicam sitcom like the original. It says in the series, it's 1995, and Leia Foreman, daughter of Eric and Donna, would not surprise me if Eric named her after Princess Leia. He says Leia Foreman is visiting her grandparents for the summer, where she bonds with the new generation of Point Place, Wisconsin. Kids under the watchful eye of Kitty and the stern glare of Red. Now, it does say the original series creators, Bonnie Turner and Terry Turner, and their daughter, Lindsay Turner, are on board as writers and executive producers, with that 70s show alum Greg Metler also writing, in addition to serving as executive producer and the showrunner. We also have Kurtwood along with Deborah, who are actually going to be executive producers on the show as well. So, Stuart, let me just say this. Again, not knowing any information about that 80s show or the previous spinoff show that we had, I mean, I like the idea of the original writers certainly returning. I mean, the fact that they got original writers, and not just the show's creators, but also writers from that 70s show returning, kind of gives me hope in the sense that they should know what they're doing in regards to hitting that same familiar humor, hitting that same sort of love that we had for those type of characters. I mean, granted, it's kind of hard to ever replace somebody like a Topher Grace and, I mean, the entire incredible cast that we wind up getting from that 70s show. But maybe they struck gold because, I mean, the cast itself really did help carry a lot of that comedy with its timing. The writing I thought was great at times as well. And we are getting great characters back in Red and Kitty, who were fantastic in that 70s show. I don't know if all these people were involved in that 80s show as well or not. But I'm kind of excited for this. I really want to see what they're able to do 20 years later, or whatever the case may be. Seeing the daughter of Eric and Donna's, seeing their daughter fully grown here. It's got my interest, Stuart. It's definitely got my interest. And I almost wonder if they're treating this, I don't want to say kind of like Cobra Kai in regards to, maybe um creating this with a fresh take, if you will. But I am kind of interested in this, Stuart. But what about you, though? Are you hesitant going into this, seeing the debacle that was the previous spinoff, or does this give you any sort of comfort?
Well, with the previous spinoff, it really just kind of felt like a show that took place in the 80s that they called that 80s show to, kind of continue the hype of that 70s show. With this one, it's like one that's actually written in mind to be. That's really funny. I'm going to have to disagree with him there, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll agree to disagree. But yeah, with this, it's actually like written with the intention of being a spinoff show. Like that 80s show really had nothing to connect it to that 70s show, except that the main character is supposedly Eric's cousin, but they don't have the same last name. And he was never mentioned, as far as I can remember, never mentioned in that 70s show. So I really don't know what the connective tissue was supposed to be. But with this, you got the two best characters from that 70s show reprising their roles. So yeah, as long as we get them back, and the fact that it's taking place in the 90s, probably the smartest move on Netflix's part, because I feel like everything nowadays is like going back to the 90s because everyone loves the 90s so much. So, so yeah, it's actually probably like the perfect idea for a spinoff. It's been enough time, I think. And with these two actors, they're still everything I've seen them in, because they've actually both been in Marvel stuff in the last couple of years, because you had the actor for Red who was in Agent Carter, and then you had the actress for Kitty who was in WandaVision, and yeah, they're both still incredibly talented. So I would love to see them reprising their roles as like one of my favorite TV couples ever.
Yeah, man, I am looking forward to this. I truly am. I do laugh when you say that, everybody's going back to the 90s now. I felt like maybe just 10 years ago we were all going back to the 80s. Is the 90s
Exactly,
now the nostalgic year that we're in? Who knows, Stuart? Maybe in like 2030, 2040, we'll be going to that 2000s show. And that'll be everybody's nostalgic moment from the early 2000s. I feel old, man, just thinking about these damn shows and the nostalgic time period that they all want to find. But yeah, you're right. The 90s has become very popular of a time period to go ahead and revisit. But yeah, I mean, now that you clear up what the 80s show kind of was for me, especially if they didn't have the connective tissues, knowing that the spinoff will be more of a connective tissue to that other series, that does get me pretty hyped, honestly. I do wonder if there's a possibility of seeing Eric and Donna Foreman even pop up in this series at some particular point in time as sort of like a cameo, or to check up on their daughter, or whatever the case may be. So I think this should be fun for them to go ahead and tackle. Do you know if the same creative team worked on that 80s show, or was that completely different creators? Do you know?
I actually have no idea. I'm going to assume that it was different writers working on that 80 show, just because the humor felt very different. Like it was dry, but it wasn't meant to be dry, if that makes sense.
I get you. Nathan does say here, he says, I don't know, the show worked for its time. Do we even need this series? I don't know if this style of TV works that well now. What do you think, Stuart? Do you think we need this series, or what do you think?
It's worked out for Netflix recently, because they had they've brought back the Full House for Fuller House, and I personally wasn't the biggest fan of Fuller House, but it did really well. And then same with The Ranch, which I've seen a few episodes of and I actually thought was pretty funny. And again, you know, both of those are multicam sitcoms and both of them were pretty successful. So I feel like that style of sitcom, even though it's very dated now, like compared to everything that we can do now with television, I don't think it's ever going to go away per se. You're just not going to see as much of it. But I do think there are still plenty of people that are okay with just, you know, sitting down watching a multicam sitcom. Like, you know, it's definitely, you're not going to get any or you're going to get some good episodes from it. Don't get me wrong. You're just not going to get any, you know, they're not really going to be pushing the envelope in terms of stylization or anything like that, which there's nothing wrong with. You don't have to push the envelope every time you make a new show. So, you know, I still think it can be successful. And I think, again, that's why they were smart about going to the 90s, because that's what a lot of people really care about now is like the 90s. So I think taking those characters, putting them in the 90s will add to a lot of humor, especially with Red's character. Because, like, correct me if I'm wrong, obviously I was like super young during the 90s, but wasn't the 90s when they were originally trying to start like the PC movement? Because I could feel, I feel like that's something Red would be like totally against, you know?
Yeah, it would.
Positive reinforcement. What? I see that's the kind of thing I look forward to seeing Red react to.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You're right. I mean, since this is like a 20-year jump or maybe like a 15-year jump or whatever the case may be, like to see all the changes in the world, just to see like Red's reaction to like how kids might have changed over the years and like the new dumb shit that kids do in the 90s that Red just doesn't understand. Like I cannot wait to see what that's like. But you know, I think I agree with you in the sense that Netflix or just any streaming service, I think, is probably a great spot to put some of these multicam sitcom shows on, you know, not flooding us with 20-something episodes, just 10 episodes a season. Easy for us to certainly swallow and consume in a short amount of time, get our laughs out, very much like that 70s show. I think if they can keep to that same formula, I think we should probably be in pretty good hands. So I am eager to see it. And also, I think just the time period that we're in right now, people do like that nostalgia factor. People do like the concept of revisiting shows. And I think it's the idea of seeing how these characters have truly grown after all these years, right? And to see their next step in life, if you will, and what they certainly have going for them. I think if you grew up with these shows or if you were fans, maybe there's a part of you that's kind of interested to be like, I do kind of want to know what Eric and Donna's daughter's like. You know, is she like their parents in any way? What's Red up to these days? Is he still the same hard ass or has he kind of changed? I think that idea of revisiting for certain series kind of works. And I think considering how fun-loving the 70s show was, how much people absolutely love that cast, I think there might be some interest in this for sure. So I'm on board, man. I really love this. Indy does say 90s, if it doesn't mention Tupac's or nose ring, cancel it. So yeah, we'll see if Red loves himself some nose rings on these younger kids these days. So we'll see. And Indy thinks that we need a sitcom also, Stuart. So maybe we'll put something together. You're the writer. You can work on that. But yeah, no,
definitely.
I'm pumped for this, man. I think this could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I fully agree. But I'm also super biased because, like, for me, that 70s show, again, was probably my favorite sitcom of all time.
Do you think we get the Stoner Roundtable somehow?
I hope so. I really hope so. Because, I mean, kids smoked pot in the 90s, right?
I got to think so.
Actually, I'm wondering now with this being a Netflix show and no longer being on ABC, you might actually be able to see them smoking instead of having to just, like, imply it.
That's true. That's true, too. I don't know what's good to do in Point Place, Wisconsin. So I guess if anything, if there's not too much to do, maybe some smoking around in a circle was the thing to do out there in Point Place.
It's a good way to pass the time.
Most definitely. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Power Rangers Ready says, congrats again, Adam, on your soon to be baby boy. Thank you very much for that, man. I appreciate it. December is going to be here before I know it, guys. Time is flying by and it's kicking my ass already. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, we've got one more topic that we're going to be breaking down for you guys before we get into your live viewer questions. If you guys do have any live viewer questions and you want to go ahead and feel free to start submitting them over, feel free to send them over to aplusopinions@gmail.com. Again, that's aplusopinions@gmail.com. If you watch an episode, read an article, check out a movie throughout the week that you certainly want to go ahead and talk to us about, have any questions in regards to, leaving a comment, feel free to go ahead and submit them over at any particular point in time, and we'll always get to them towards the end of our show. Again, that's aplusopinions@gmail.com, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Stuart, let's go ahead and start tackling this last topic. Listen, we're going to go back into the comic book movie realm for you guys. And this may be a character that not too many of you are certainly familiar with, in the Rob Liefeld created character from Image Comics, Prophet. We mentioned this Prophet movie a few months back when it was officially announced that the writer for the Prophet movie was going to be none other than Mark Guggenheim from his from Arrowverse, in that massive universe that they wind up creating. He's in fact been tackling the script, but this is our first time in a long time getting further details about what this movie could potentially be from Rob Liefeld himself. So not only do we have details about the Prophet movie, but Stuart, he also announces who's going to be playing the Prophet character. And holy crap, I was not expecting Jake Gyllenhaal at all. So let's go ahead and dive into this article, man, because this actually does have me pretty interested in regards to seeing what they're going to be creating here for us. But this comes to us from comicbook.com. It says the Prophet movie creator Rob Liefeld on why Jake Gyllenhaal is perfect casting and more. So I did say it's been a while since fans got an update on the status of the upcoming Prophet movie, but this week was a big one with the revelation that the movie will star Jake Gyllenhaal as the title role. The film will feature a story written by Arrow executive producer Mark Guggenheim, based off of the Image Comics co-founder Rob Liefeld. It says the screenplay focuses on some of the earliest Prophet adventures, beginning in the second issue of Youngblood, according to Liefeld. The big thing that Guggenheim brings to it, besides a screenplay structure, is a focus on character that was a little bit lost in the bombastic action of introducing Prophet in the team book. So he does go on to say, he says, when I met with Mark Guggenheim, who has written a phenomenal script about the introduction of Prophet, he knew right away what needed to be done. He says there's a section in the middle of Youngblood 2 that gets into a nitty gritty about why John Prophet does what he did to become the soldier he is, including on what needed to help his family. What's great about Mark Guggenheim is that he moves you with his scripts and storytelling. You're going to be tearing up in the first 20 minutes, Stuart. And so after you read that, you say to yourself, there needs to be a great actor here. We were fortunate enough to add Jake Gyllenhaal to the equation. And man, let me tell you, he's like the great actor of this generation. High praise from Rob Liefeld. He says Jake Gyllenhaal has done so many great films and is such a chameleon and an artist. We just watched The Guilty this last weekend, and my two boys became Gyllenhaal fans because they watched Nightcrawler and Prisoner. I even told my daughter the other day, I go, you should watch The Day After Tomorrow with me because Jake Gyllenhaal's in it. He's been in so many amazing roles that he's going to crush it with Prophet. He says, I think people forget that Jake Gyllenhaal got ripped like hell for Prince of Persia, bringing up that old movie. He says, before everyone else was getting jacked, Jake Gyllenhaal was like, I'll show you how that works. It was kind of that template. The only guy doing that at the time was Hugh Jackman, maybe, right? He's a chameleon in that way. I think he says, I think Christian Bale's a chameleon also, and so on. You've got a guy who can absolutely meet the physicality head on. He's the best actor in his generation. And let me tell you something, it's going to be honest. I've been watching Jake's hair grow all for the role. I go, oh, he's becoming more Prophet every day. Stop teasing me because, man, he looks great. But he does think that the screenplay in general is the MVP of this project by Mark Guggenheim. It's a page turner, it's gripping, it's action packed. There are huge stakes. And like I said, that opening 20 pages is like, oh, I'll get you. You're going to be rooting for John Prophet. Prophet is like an amped up John Wick in the way that you were sold on John Wick and went on his journey with him. John Prophet, I'm telling you, I just get it. Reading Mark's script just electrified me, is what he had to say. So high praise, Stuart, not only for the script of the Prophet movie, but also for Jake Gyllenhaal as well. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with the Prophet comics, if you've picked them up at all. But even if you're not, just hearing what Rob Liefeld is talking about in regards to Jake, along with the importance of the script. I mean, we're very familiar with Mark Guggenheim's work around here. What are your thoughts in regards to what he had to say?
I'm going to sound super mean when I say this, so I apologize to Rob Liefeld fans out there. I'm really excited for this because I find that Rob Liefeld's characters are best written when he's not the one writing them.
I agree.
So finding that Mark Guggenheim is behind this, and then not to mention Jake Gyllenhaal, who I don't think has ever given a bad performance before. Whether or not you like the movies that he's in, like, you can't deny that he at least goes all out with it. And he, to me, he does a really good job of just like, being very believable as almost any character that he's in. And I like how he gives that same treatment to almost everything that he's in, even if like it doesn't have to be like an artsy film that he's doing for him to like give that really amazing performance. Like he does the same kind of thing with superhero movies as we saw him do in Spider-Man Spider-Man Far From Home. Yeah, I think him as Prophet is a perfect choice, and I really look forward to seeing the performance he gives, and him, working alongside Mark Guggenheim. It's going to be a really interesting combo, and it's going to be really cool to see Mark writing a movie for the first time in a while. I could be wrong about that.
I'm looking at his IMDb right now. I'm not seeing like big movies per se. I feel like the only thing I'm seeing here, a screenplay for, unfortunately, the first Green Lantern, Percy Jackson. But that's really about it. I'm feeling like a lot of his other great work has really come from like his much more current TV stuff, for sure. Like you can tell that he's grown as a writer over the years.
I'm really hoping that when it comes to this movie, that you don't have too much studio interference, or they just kind of let him do his thing, because we've seen what happens when Warner Brothers gets too involved with his work. You end up getting the Green Lantern movie. So I really hope they just kind of let him do his thing when it comes to writing the script.
I definitely hope so too. It is one of those things. I mean, first off, Rob Liefeld could be my hype man any day of the week. I mean, the praise that he winds up giving everybody in this is incredible. I mean, this movie could be complete shit, but the way that Rob Liefeld's talking about it, like, give it to me already, man. I think this is gonna be great. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I agree with him in the sense that when it comes to Jake Gyllenhaal, the guy can do anything. He truly is a chameleon. His commitment to his work is incredible, if you ask me. So to be able to see him reshape his body, get his mental state where it certainly needs to be for this movie, if you need anybody to pull that off, it's definitely Jake Gyllenhaal. So I think he's going to be a great addition to this. The fact that he's even on board with this movie, clearly he must have really enjoyed the script that he got the opportunity to see from Mark Guggenheim also, because listen, this is even though this is in the comic book realm, this is a very sort of unrecognized character for a lot of people. I feel like if you were not a big comic book fan in the 90s, you might have missed Prophet. You know what I mean? So for somebody like a Jake Gyllenhaal, of all people, with that big name that he brings, to be attached to this brand new superhero does give me confidence that there's got to be something in the script to draw somebody like a big name out there, right? I mean, because this could be a potential new franchise or a new trilogy in the making if all really goes well. It's not the idea that they went with like a no-name person or anything like that, right? The fact that they landed Jake, I think, does say something in here. Now, listen, this is Rob Liefeld's baby. I think he's going to be hyped up about this movie regardless. I think he's going to be maybe even more attached to the script than maybe us as the viewer probably will, because this is his number one baby. So I don't want to say that he's lying or that he's hyping it up a little bit too much, but I mean, the guy's biased, right? I mean, the guy, there's got to be a little bit of biasness behind it. But based off of the stuff that I have seen from Mark Guggenheim over the years, yes, while he did do a Percy Jackson movie and a Green Lantern movie, that was 20 years ago. It's been quite some time, and I definitely do think that he certainly has grown as a writer. And I think we see that in a lot of his more recent DC television stuff that he's worked on over the past 10 years or so. So I think this guy's more than capable of putting together a screenplay. And I think if Rob Liefeld is truly seeing some of the greatness that's in the script, and if you've got a very strong actor like a Jake Gyllenhaal who could potentially take maybe a semi-weak script and just bump it up to another level, I think this movie might be in good hands. I still want to see more. I feel like this is still very much early on. I definitely would love to see other casting choices, more synopsis or details about this particular movie. But I'm getting a boost of confidence here from Rob Liefeld. Probably more of a boost of confidence on this movie than I feel like what I'm getting when it comes to like another movie like Todd McFarlane's Spawn, that I feel like has been really kind of treading water. We haven't heard too much about it. But I think Rob Liefeld is probably going a better route with finding a different writer to actually write it, and landing a great actor here in Jake Gyllenhaal. So I'm eager. I'm eager to see what they're creating behind the scenes. But I think I think Rob has put his property in a good position to at least succeed and get off the ground. What do you think, though?
Yeah, I would agree. I think maybe one of the issues with Todd McFarlane's Spawn movies that he's trying to do it like, correct
Himself,
me if I'm wrong here.
like,
yeah, he's doing it himself, and it's really hard to get a movie off the ground when you're a comic book artist or comic book writer. I think does Todd do both, or is he just an artist?
No, he writes. He writes.
Oh,
he's
okay.
he's a writer and an artist.
Yeah. So yeah, either way, even with that though, I feel like it's definitely a much bigger challenge to get a movie off the ground when that's what you have under your name, unfortunately, because comic books, even well written comic books, they're just not looked at as fondly as like movies, in the eyes of Hollywood. So I feel like that could be like one major thing. But with Rob Liefeld having Mark Guggenheim, writing this, getting it produced is probably a lot much more of an easier process.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I definitely do think that certainly gives him a leg up in this situation for sure. I personally didn't read too much of Prophet back in the day. While I was a really big fan of Image Comics, I mean, I collected like Wildcats, Young Blood, not Prophet, Savage Dragon. Definitely watched some Spawn back in the day. Gen 13. Big fan of Image Comics when it was truly at its prime. And make no mistake, Prophet was certainly a part of that, but it was never a comic that I really picked up and actually read. So for me, this will be really my first introduction to learning more about this character. But it should be an interesting one. And I think, like I said, I think they've got put themselves in a great position here. And it'll be interesting to see what other casting announcements certainly come out of this movie. But we'll see what it turns out to be. Could be another big franchise, but we'll see how it does as it gets off the ground. Any last words in regards to it, Stuart?
Just that, yeah, I think with Jake Gyllenhaal as the Prophet, I think it's a really good casting. I've never read the comics myself either, but again, it goes to just the fact that he is really good at committing to almost any role you give him. So I'm sure he's going to knock it out of the park.
And it's funny too, because you did mention his Jake Gyllenhaal's time in Far From Home, and I think the Hollywood Reporter just put out an article too about Jake, where he kind of confessed the idea that he was a little intimidated to be on the set of the MCU, that he was like forgetting all his lines during one of the scenes in Far From Home when they're in the underground bunker with Samuel L. Jackson and Tom Holland, and they're explaining the different Earths and stuff, and he's trying to break down all that information. He said he couldn't couldn't remember his lines at all. He was like that nervous to be on set and had to get some motivating words from Tom Holland to kind of center him a little bit more. So I think it's fascinating because it still shows you like these actors are still human, right? Like they still have to practice on their craft and get into a particular sort of mindset. But I thought Jake, if you look at Far From Home, it didn't look like he had a hard time or any issues at all. So I'm really glad to see that. I think he did even say that he walked over to John Watson, was like, look, I'm a professional, man. I'll get this. Like, don't worry, I will get this. I promise. Trying to reassure him. And he definitely did. And he mentioned the idea that just because of the fact that it's the MCU, right? Like it's so huge and so massive, to be a part of that franchise for some actors is kind of intimidating. So when he says that, I almost think going into this Prophet movie, I feel like this has got to be a little less stressful, right? Because nobody truly knows this character. I feel like there's probably not a lot of pressure of expectations of what you should possibly be bringing to the role. Not to say that this is going to make Jake, lackluster or not put in as much effort, but I do think in regards to at least less minimal nerves, I think he might be in a much better position to feel more comfortable and fit perfectly into this role. At least that's how I would assume it. But what do you think?
Yeah, when you're not in a room full of really big actors like Samuel Jackson,
Kevin
Tom Holland,
Feige watching
and,
you behind the camera, right?
Yeah, and I forgot her name, but the woman from How I Met Your Mother. When you're not in the same room with all of them. Yeah, I imagine that would take a lot of pressure off. But it's funny though that he mentions that scene in particular, because I look at Mysterio in that movie and how like a lot of scenes when he's still like lying to everyone, those are the scenes where his acting quality is a lot lower. But I always thought that was like kind of, and I still think it is, even with finding out that he was forgetting his lines, it always felt like those moments were done on purpose. Like he was purposely not giving 100%, or at the very least, he was doing a good job of making it look like he wasn't giving 100%. And if because when the moment he reveals that he was of course the main villain, suddenly his acting takes a complete 180. And that to me it felt like it's always been on purpose, because he's playing a character who himself is putting on an act.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And now that you mention it, I can certainly see that even more now, thinking about Far From Home. So you're absolutely right, man. I'm eager for this. I'm eager. I'm not super hyped. Again, I definitely want to see more information, but this is a damn good step for Rob Liefeld in his creation with Mark Guggenheim, pulling in a great script and attaching Jake Gyllenhaal. But guys, we want to know your thoughts. What do you guys think about that Prophet news? Are you excited to see Jake jumping back into the comic book genre and tackling a brand new character in regards to Prophet for the first time? What do you guys think in regards to this upcoming news and potential for Prophet? Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. All right.
Fun fact, Rob Liefeld blocked me on Twitter.
Oh no, what'd you say, man? What'd you upset him about?
It was the funniest thing. So he ranked all the X-Men movies that he liked. He ranked them all in order from favorite to least favorite, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'll retweet this, but put my own opinion on it. However, I thought, you know what? I'll include the Deadpool movies since those are connected, and because the Deadpool movies make fun of him quite a few times, I guess that he doesn't like those movies. So I guess I think that was the reason he blocked me, because then I went to later check out his I don't remember why, but I do remember I was checking out his Twitter profile later that day, and I realized, hey, I can't get on this. What the heck?
He says, no, sir, I do not like your opinion. Blocked.
Yep, exactly.
My goodness.
He hated my A+ opinion.
Well, maybe you got back into his good graces with this article. Maybe we should cut this piece out and send it to Rob, and he'd be like, "Oh, you know what, Stuart? What's this Turbo Stew? Let me go ahead and refollow you or something like that. Let you unblock you. Maybe that'll go a long way, Stuart." All right, guys. I think with that out of the way, I guess it's time for live viewer questions, Stuart. Let's go ahead and dive into this, man.
Let's get a sound effect. Live viewer questions.
Yeah, I really do. Or we need an intro or brief intro for live viewer questions or something. Let me go ahead and pull this up, see what we got here. All right, Jessica Friedman. Um, These are some pretty broad questions now. What would you like to see in the next season of Batwoman, Superman and Lois, and Stargirl? I mean, we're not even done with Stargirl as of yet. Do you have any potential wishes, though, for things you would like to see in Superman and Lois or Batwoman this season? Which, mind you, Batwoman begins, damn, was that next week?
Oh my God. Wow. Really?
The fuck? Hold on, let me double check. When is Batwoman season 3?
Although to be fair, it's a lot less weird than Legends, which is also coming back in like a week or two. And that show like literally ended not even like 2 months ago, I don't think.
That's
At least with
bananas.
Batwoman, we've had a little bit of time, but with Legends, we got like no time at
Oh,
all.
this week, man. It says October 13th.
Damn, it's all coming back
Season
already.
3. Damn. All right, Indy, get ready for your Batwoman reviews again. I felt like he literally just finished it. But yeah, it is trippy because we still have Supergirl and Stargirl on right now too.
Yeah, for Stargirl, I don't really know. I want to wait till this season ends before I decide what I want to see in season 3. And then as for Superman and Lois and Batwoman, well, with Superman and Lois, I'm hoping we get to see. I would love to see Zod, and I think I know a cool way they could bring him into the show if they wanted to have the evil Superman from the. Wait, you finished Superman and Lois, right? I just want to make sure I don't spoil anything. Yeah, they bring back the evil Superman from that universe that John Henry Irons came from, and he turns out to be, it turns out the one who possessed him was General Zod. So then you can have like Tyler Hoechlin playing 2 characters that season. I think that would be really cool because I think Tyler Hoechlin is a really good actor after what we've seen in season 1, and I think if I were the showrunner, I'd really want to push him by having him do 2 characters because I think he could do it. Yeah, so that's my big thing, and then also seeing the DEO as more of an antagonist now that Sam Lane is no longer in charge. Instead, it looks like the one of his friends, one of Tyler Hoechlin's friends from Teen Wolf. I guess his character is going to be the new head of the DEO. So I'm wondering if that's going to lead to conflict. For Batwoman, though, well, I look forward to seeing Ivy. So I guess with that, I hope we get some flashbacks with Ivy, of back when she was in charge, when she was like a villain in Gotham before Batwoman. And I really hope they give Ivy a good story. That's really all I want. I want them to treat Ivy right,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. It is a character that I'm fascinated to see them try and bring to live action. I know they did it I know they did it in Gotham, but I think they went through like 2 or 3 different actresses when it comes to the Ivy character. So for me, I am going to be interested to see how they handle Ivy this season, but I am interested. I am definitely interested. Couple live viewer questions from AJ. What do you think made Back to the Future such a worldwide phenomenon and the best time traveling movie franchise of all time? I think maybe as far as time traveling goes, I think it's maybe just a simplicity that really does go a long way. Granted, time traveling is probably a lot more complicated than that, but I always felt like their take on time traveling was as simplistic as it could possibly be for a lot of people to understand at least the concept of it without getting too crazy. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I almost feel like the Back to the Future is just such a better time traveling rule than that of like what we got in Marvel Endgame. But I mean, if you want to go the more scientific route, maybe Marvel Endgame's for you. But I appreciate just this simplistic approach to it, and I think that's what for the time traveling part that made it one of the better films. What do you think made it such a phenomenon?
Well, I think like the fact, like you said, the fact that they didn't focus on how the time travel aspect works on everything in Back to the Future was a big plus, because when movies try to overly explain how time travel works, like they did in Avengers Endgame, the problem is then you end up like breaking your own rules because you decide, for the story you need to do something else, and it brings in so many plot holes. So to me, it's just easier not to explain time travel if you're not going to be consistent with your rules. And with Back to the Future, I think they explained what they need to, but no more than that. And the fact that the movie isn't fully even about the time travel. It's really just more of a really fun family comedy. And I think the characters are really what made it, like the character interactions and then just some of the great writing that you had behind the character interactions. I think that's what made it such an amazing film. I know that sounds super generic, but yeah, if I go into detail, we'll be here all day.
Yeah, no, I know. I definitely get what you mean, though. He says, since the unfortunate and sudden passing of Saved by the Bell's legend Dustin Diamond, aka Screech, how do you think season 2 of Saved by the Bell revival will pay tribute to him? Do you think Screech as a character will be killed off, or will he possibly be recast? Have you checked out the revival series? Is he in there?
I've actually never seen Saved by the Bell.
Whoa. Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I will say this. I haven't watched the revival, so I don't know if he's been a part of the series or if he's mentioned in there heavily or not. But I would expect some sort of tribute, whether that be a full episode, whether that be um something at the very beginning. I wouldn't mind the idea if they were to tackle it. The idea of him passing, simply because I feel like, at least when it comes to the original Saved by the Bell, they didn't mind tackling some tough issues from time to time. Like, I just remember like Jesse's drug addiction problem or something like that from the first Saved by the Bell. So I do wonder if this is a moment where they can tackle a real life sort of situation, and maybe handle it in that form of, through it as a TV show, whether that be paying tribute, letting people know something happened with Screech, and then maybe tackling it in a very mature and educational manner or something like that. I have no idea, but I would assume that they would do something in regards to a tribute to Dustin Diamond for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. He also says, with Netflix doing a spinoff of the popular That 70's Show, how do you think that the show will even be a direct sequel with the two main leads who now aged in real life, maybe look younger by using computer magic? Probably not. I think they naturally age during their time, and since this is a 20 or 15-year gap, I'm sure just their natural aging will work just fine of them being in the 90s. They did mention the idea. He says, how do you think the show will even be a direct sequel? The idea is that it's Eric and Donna's daughter, Leia, that's going to be involved. So that's where your connection is in regards to it being a direct sequel. He says, would you like the old actors like Topher and Ashton and Mila return for a cameo as even as series regulars, maybe already married and having kids? Isn't Ashton and Mila, aren't they really married in real life with kids?
Yeah.
See, so that would be super trippy.
Yeah.
I would love to see it, honestly.
I wouldn't be against it, but personally, I liked the very end of the show when Jackie and Fez got together. So I kind of hope if we do get either of those characters, I hope they stay together.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how they pull that off. But I would expect maybe some cameos from time to time. It's hard not to think that there wouldn't be, but
I imagine. Okay, so I this isn't me having an opinion on the matter because I actually have not looked into it at all. So I don't have an opinion one way or another. I just know that the guy that played Hyde is now facing charges against him. So we're probably not going to be seeing him in that 70s show. But that said, I think it would be hilarious if if at some point there was a one-off line, if someone was asking about Kelso and Hyde, and they were like, yeah, where'd the two of them go? And then one of them was like, oh, I heard they got like a ranch somewhere.
It would not surprise me with the type of humor that we had in the 70s show. It would not surprise me if they push it a little bit for that 90s show. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think there's some great potential there. Marcelino Vasquez has got a couple of questions. Let's see here. Have you been enjoying The Boys VOT News Network? Just a reminder, as the new episode was released on the 7th of this month. Have you been able to catch up with any of it, Stuart? I have not been able to.
I watched a couple of them, and yeah, it was kind of like what I expected. Yeah, it was pretty funny, and again, I like the idea of expanding a universe throughout like new through a news network type of a thing. But no, I haven't checked out the newest one, and I haven't even checked out really all of them yet. But I probably should tonight.
And then he says, I don't know if you've checked out Ranger Reviews channel or not, but even if you haven't, what are some TV shows and or movies that have been forgotten by the public that you would like to see him review for his segment Forgotten Television? Television shows that have been forgotten by the public, maybe MASH. I wouldn't mind seeing him do MASH. I'm gonna go old school MASH, Gilligan's Island, even. Forgotten TV. Trying to think of shows that were popular back in the day that maybe today's audience not familiar with. Maybe even Hercules or Xena. What else you got?
Yeah, you know what? I bet you I'll come up with a good answer by the end of the podcast, because right now I can't really think of anything.
Let's see here. And he says, I already asked Adam this, but I would like to know Stuart's opinion. When it comes to Izzy from Dino Fury being LGBTQ, how would you respond to people that say, I don't mind Izzy being LGBTQ. I just don't want her being treated as I just don't want it being treated as a historic moment. So in other words, don't treat her as if she's the first LGBT character have ever existed on TV. Characters who are part of the LGBT community have existed for years on TV and characters have been the main leads in movies before, like Love, Simon, Moonlight, and Brokeback Mountain. So what do you say to the people that say that they don't mind her being LGBTQ, but they don't want to treat it as a historical moment?
I mean, to me, I kind of say why not, because I mean it is pretty historical for Power Rangers, the fact that this is something that I personally never thought we'd get to see on Power Rangers, and I think that's kind of a big deal in a sense, the fact that the show actually took a bigger leap than the movie, because the movie, they only did it through implications. They never directly had Trini's character actually come out and say she was a lesbian like we did in Dino Fury with Izzy, where you can't possibly argue that it's an implication. Like, they directly say it multiple times now in the show. And I think that is like something that's definitely worth celebrating for a lot of people who have been waiting for something like this for a while.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, man. I think my response was, well, tough.
Yeah.
Well, tough. But yeah, no, yeah, you elaborated so much more eloquently than I ever could, Stuart. Let's see here. Doomsday does have a couple of questions too. Which Avenger do you think had the absolute best origin story?
Avenger with the best origin story. You know what? I'm going to go with Tony Stark. And I think it really helps with the What If episode, because then we see what would have happened to him if he hadn't gone through his journey, how he still would have stayed a complete piece of crap, like he kind of was in the first movie. I like the idea of that. Yeah, it's not to me, the first Iron Man movie is kind of a really well done redemption type of storyline, like how it's never too late to come back, and how, like, just because someone's like kind of it comes off as an asshole, that doesn't mean they're a terrible person. Like, the fact that some people will, even people that seem like assholes, will still do the right thing when the moment calls for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a great choice. I'm gonna go maybe a little bit more recency bias and say Shang-Chi. I thought Shang-Chi's story was actually pretty incredible. I absolutely love that movie. It's definitely up there, I think, now in like my top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's probably one of the better origin films that we've honestly have gotten in a really long time. So for me, probably Shang-Chi. I don't know if I have like a top 3 or 5 best origin stories. I think Ant-Man's isn't too bad either, honestly. But if I had to, I'll probably go a little bit more recency bias and say Shang-Chi, especially just with the story of his mom, his father. I think really brings a lot of that to it. Also, seeing how he was trained, the idea of running away from a decision that you have to make, to kind of go off and start your own life, if you will, and being dragged back into that world world and learning so much more about your own personal history and family history. I was a really big fan of it. So I'll say Shang-Chi.
Oh,
Did
hang
you
on really
go
quick.
for it?
So I just thought of a show for the earlier question that was asked. Oh crap, it literally just slipped my mind. How did that happen? I literally just had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh my
You
gosh.
forgot about it. See?
Oh,
It's one
okay.
of
I
those
just
things.
remembered now. Okay, so it was this is one that I had heard about, but I never actually took the time to watch, even though it's like still free on a bunch of different weird streaming services. Blade from the CW, because
Okay.
yeah, to me that's just like interesting that there was a Blade TV show that was on a Warner Brothers owned TV channel.
Wait, Blade, like the MCU
Yeah,
character?
yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's a show that no one talks about. So at some point, I want to go back and check it out. At some
Okay.
point, see if it's any good.
That's a good one. Okay. Let's see here. Did you hear that although the Eternals will be rated PG-13 here in the States, it will apparently be rated R in places like Russia? I didn't hear that. What does that surprise you, Stuart?
Yeah, I remember hearing about that, and I mean, it's a bit surprising, but also hopefully no one goes in expecting this movie to be a gore fest, because it's probably for something really dumb. It could honestly be rated R for a political reason. Like maybe there's a line that's said in the movie that Russia's just like, oh, nope, nope, this is not okay. Kids are not allowed to hear this, so we're giving it an R rating. So I would just say don't get too hyped from that.
Yeah, Yahoo.com is suggesting that maybe because it's featuring its first gay superhero in there, or is featuring a gay superhero in there, that maybe that's
Mhm.
why the rating was changed, meaning it's prohibited for children. Um, that's just an assumption, though. I don't. The only reason we can guess why is because of that is why they're doing it. And I also just wonder also if maybe like our level of content for PG-13, if they're trying to push the envelope, is okay here in the States, but maybe in a different country, like us pushing the boundaries on just a PG-13, maybe crossing some boundaries for them. I don't really know though. I'm just making an assumption here. But that's interesting. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, again, I'm kind of just expecting it to be for an incredibly lame reason.
Do you yeah, right, probably. Do you consider Black Panther as the first official black superhero movie? No. Maybe in Marvel, but when I think of when I think of black superhero movie, guys, I'm not even gonna lie. First name that comes to mind is Meteor Man. Is who I get, and then hell, I'll even put The Last Dragon in there with Bruce Leroy.
Oh
Um,
my god, I
I don't
love
know
that
if that's
movie.
I don't even necessarily know if that's superhero, but damn, homeboy got the glow. That seemed like superpowers enough to me. Um,
I'll accept it. Yeah, that counts.
so yeah, no, when I think of black superhero movies, as far as like the first, yeah, I go immediately to Meteor Man and Last Dragon. But I'm sure some people probably say Blade, but nah, if we go back a little bit further, give some shout out to Robert Townsend for bringing in that Meteor Man. Robert Townsend actually had a pretty good role in season 1 of Black Lightning, which I really appreciated them bringing up also. So you on board with me with The Last Dragon, Stuart, or at least Meteor Man being the first black superhero movie?
Oh yeah, although for me, like the movie that comes up, just because I used to watch Disney Channel a lot as a kid, so one of the movies that comes up, did you ever see Up and Away?
No, I never watched it. Up and
Incredibly
away.
campy,
Oh,
really cheesy, but as a kid I definitely liked it. Yeah, it's a cute like it's kind of like the Incredibles and what was Sky High, kind of like those two, where it's a family superhero movie where but like one of the kids doesn't have any powers, and so he feels very left out. So yeah, it's a really cute movie though. But yeah, it's
okay.
definitely a Disney Channel movie because some of the costumes look incredibly cheap. You have one scene in particular where it's like a bunch of superheroes that they invited over to their house for a party, and some of the costumes are just so like they look like they ran to Party City, threw it together like 10 minutes before filming.
Oh my god, I love it. Let's see here. this is from Nathan real quick. He says, I thought it was on Spike TV at the time, whichever. It was complete trash, embarrassing, shameful, skip it. I'm wondering if he's talking about the Blade series.
I assume so, yeah. Actually, Spike TV would make more sense. Although then again, that is still a Warner Brothers owned television network.
Oh, is it?
So
Okay.
yeah, I think it is. I'm like 90% sure it's owned by Warner Brothers.
And because we're still on this about classic television, shows that people might have forgotten that Marcelino put to us, I will say this is the one that you highlighted. If I could put another one up there, one just came to mind. There was a Mortal Kombat TV series that used to come on TNT back in the 90s. I used to watch it literally after watching Monday Night Nitro, but it was a live action Mortal Kombat series called Mortal Kombat Conquest. I think it only had like one season, 22 episodes, but I enjoyed what they wind up creating in regards to that for its time. But yeah, it was literally only one season, 22 episodes long. But yeah, it was called Mortal Kombat Conquest and would come on after Monday Night Nitro. So it was only around for a year, but it's a series that for some reason just really stuck with me. But I don't even know if many people remember that show for that time. And then Nathan does say, going back to Meteor Man, I believe he says Robert Townsend directed that at which I was not aware of. So thank you for that tidbit of information, Nathan. Thank you very much.
That is interesting.
That is interesting.
Also, I am looking at Ranger Reviews channel now, and yeah, a lot of the shows on his playlist that he's reviewing, I'm actually kind of interested in checking some of these out.
Yeah, he says Mantis, Sliders. Yes, Sliders was a great one. Where they would go through like dimensions and stuff. I would even throw on Sliders, Sequest, maybe even get some Quantum Leap in there, man. Although I don't know if Quantum Leap has been forgotten so much, but Street Sharks, yeah, he's got some good ones. Mortal Kombat Conquest, if it's not on Ranger Review, I would definitely recommend that because it's only a one season, so he won't have to do too much work.
He should also do Vampires.
Yeah, yes, I remember you brought that up in a video one time. Yeah, Vampires.
One of the weirdest bad shows I've ever watched.
Oh my goodness, that's a great one, man. Great one. All right. I think other than that, guys, I think that's probably gonna do it for us. So thank you very much, guys, for all your suggestions in here for sure, man. We really appreciate you guys' participation as always, each and every week. But yeah, that'll definitely do it for us when it comes to live viewer questions. But if anything, guys, we certainly will be back next weekend for you as always, with Sunday going live at 11 a.m. Central Time. Certainly join us then. And of course, throughout the week, we definitely have got some great reviews for you guys to certainly look forward to. I know Indy just wrapped up the What If series. If you guys are interested, definitely go ahead and check that out. He's currently doing Heels. He will be back to start kicking off Batwoman season 3. So if you guys are big fans of the show, you already have a home for your Batwoman reviews. We're still tackling Titans also. Stuart's also tackling Stargirl here for you guys as well. So yeah, it's gonna be that time soon, Stuart, when all of our DC television shows start returning. I think we've got The Flash that's going to be coming back in November also. So should be a fun time around here, guys. But Stuart, if people want to be able to find you on social media, where can they reach you, sir?
You guys can, of course, find me on Twitter at TurboStu01. And then you guys can also check out my other channel, Turbo Studios. But of course, you'll always be able to find me here on APlus Hero Report every Sunday. And then also, yeah, my Stargirl reviews are going to be coming out. I've been doing a much better job now at actually making sure they upload on time now that I finally have fixed my internet issue, which is really nice. So you'll definitely be able to check out my Stargirl reviews every Wednesday afternoon.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And of course, guys, if you want to follow us, you can do so right here at APlus Opinions up top. Very active over on Twitter, as well as our main Facebook page, where if you guys are interested, we keep you updated all week long on our Facebook page, dropping news articles, trailers, posters, memes, etc. You guys find it there, and that's exactly where we pull all of our stories from to discuss here at APlus Hero Report. And if you guys want to follow us also on Instagram, you can definitely do so as well. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for us here. We certainly will be seeing you guys next weekend. So until then, do us a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye. If you enjoy our content and want to be a part of helping our channel grow, become a patron supporter. We have affordable tiers to choose from that offer a variety of exclusive and early access content, from audio files for all of our shows for you to enjoy on the road, access to our Discord community, and plenty of reactions, reviews, character breakdowns, and more. Check us out at patreon.com/aplusopinions. And as always, remember, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so anytime we drop a brand new video, you will be notified.